62%. That's how many Gen Z want socialism, according to YouGov. And honestly, I get it. Look around. You can't afford a house. Your tax dollars bail out banks that gambled and lost. We send billions overseas to countries you couldn't even find on a map while your roads are falling apart. They print trillions, give it to their friends, and stick you with inflation. So when someone says, hey, maybe we should try socialism, it makes sense. At least then everyone would get a fair shot, right? Wrong. Here's the fact though, we're already in socialism. Everyone remembers what happens in 2020. While the Fed printed $3 trillion, the stock market hit all-time highs during a global pandemic. Make that make sense. September 2023, banks started failing. Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic, gone. The response, more bailouts, more printing. The markets rallied while regular businesses are closing. This isn't some conspiracy theory. Every time there's a disaster, every time something bad happens, they fire up the printer, asset prices go up, and your purchasing power goes down. We're living in socialism right now because instead of a free market system where we allow things to crash, we're bailing out the rich, and we've got everyone convinced it's capitalism. Once you see this pattern, once you really get it, you can use it too. With this knowledge, I've been able to make over 600,000 American as a 26-year-old in a few years. This isn't capitalism. So let's talk about what capitalism actually is, because what we have right now, this ain't it. In real capitalism, if your business sucks, you go under. That's it. Game over. But what happened in 2008? Banks destroyed the economy and got $700 billion as a reward. In real capitalism, money's supposed to be worth something, but since 2020 alone, they printed $9 trillion out of thin air. $9 trillion. In real capitalism, the market decides prices based on supply and demand, but for 15 years straight, some dudes in the building in DC have been deciding what interest rates should be. And here's my favorite one. In real capitalism, if you work hard and save money, you get ahead. But with 20% inflation, your savings are getting robbed while you sleep. And it just keeps happening. Silicon Valley Bank fails in March 2023. No problem. Here's a brand new bailout program. Commercial real estate collapsing. Don't worry, the Fed's secretly buying up all those bad mortgages. Auto industry in trouble. Here's $50 of taxpayer money. You know what's crazy? This is happening everywhere. Canada, Europe, printed 5 trillion euros and made interest rates negative. That means they pay you to take debt. Japan? Dude, their central bank owns 80% of their entire stock market. China's building entire cities nobody lives in just to keep their numbers up. Alright, so there's this thing called the Cantillon effect, and once you understand it, everything clicks. So picture this. You're in a concert, right? You're way back in the cheap seats. Now imagine the government shows up and starts throwing cash from the stage. Who's catching the money first? The VIPs up front, the banks, the hedge funds, the connected corporations. By the time any of that cash makes it to where you are standing, everything in the venue costs twice as much. The hot dogs, the t-shirts, everything. That's exactly what's happening in our economy. Some crisis hits. Could be real, could be totally manufactured. It doesn't matter. The Fed fires up the money printer. Trillions of new dollars just like that. But here's the thing. You don't get any of it. The banks get it first at basically 0% interest. What do you think they do with free money? They buy everything. Houses, stocks, commodities, land, anything real. So by the time you get your stimulus check or your raise or whatever breadcrumb they throw you, all the stuff you want to buy costs way more and you're priced out. And then the government steps in as the hero. Oh, you can't afford housing? Here's a program. Can't afford food? Here's assistance. They create the problem, then make you dependent on them for the solution. That's how we end up at you'll own nothing and be happy. It's not a prediction. It's their business model. Oh, but you might say, oh, come on, Wealthy Beaver. That's not socialism. That's just the government being stupid. Is it though? Think about it. What is socialism? It's the state controls the resources, right? Well, the Fed controls the money. BlackRock controls a huge chunk of the housing. The government decides which companies live or die. This sounds pretty socialist to me. They just don't call it that because then you'd catch on. Why do they want me poor though, Mr. Wealthy Beaver? You know what this reminds me of? 3-card Monty. You ever see those guys on the streets with the cards? They show you the cards, shuffle them around, and you're supposed to find the money card. But the game's rigged from the start. You were never supposed to win. That's exactly what they're doing to us. Watch how simple their con is. Step 1. They print trillions of dollars and hand it to their friends. This causes massive inflation. Step 2. They point all the problems they created and go, see, capitalism has failed you. Step 3. They swoop in with a solution. More government programs, more control, more dependence. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. And here's the thing that pisses me off. You're not crazy for falling for it. You're not stupid for being angry. You should be mad. The game is rigged. You're seeing exactly what they're doing. The only mistake is thinking the solution is more of what caused the problem. But once you see the con, like really see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when something beautiful happens. You can start using their own game against them. Okay. Some of you might be thinking, but what about those Nordic countries? They have socialism and it works great. Dude, I used to think the same thing. Then I looked it up. Sweden has more billionaires per capita Canada than America. Those aren't socialist countries. They are capitalist countries with high taxes and good social programs. There's a huge difference. You want to see actual socialism? Go try to start a business in Venezuela. Okay, you might say, okay, but capitalism is what created this inequality in the first place. This is where it gets interesting. Pull up any wealth inequality chart, and you know what? It goes crazy. 1971. What happened in 1971? We went off the gold standard. Money became completely fake. Before that, inequality was actually pretty stable. The explosion in wealth gaps didn't come from capitalism. It came from giving the government power to print unlimited money. Okay, you might say, fine, but we still need the government to regulate things and people. Look, I'm not some anarchist. Of course we need government. We need roads, we need courts, we need national defense. But there's a massive difference between having a referee in the game and having the referee pick the winners. We don't need the Fed deciding which banks are too big to fail. We do not need them printing money for their Wall Street buddies. We definitely do not need the central bank buying up the stock market. Asking the Fed to manage our economy is like, okay, imagine your house is on fire. Would you call the guy who's been starting fires all over town? Because that's basically what we're doing. Okay, you need an escape plan. I'm going to tell you what I did to escape. They're going to keep printing. We both know that. The question is, what are we going to do about it? I'm going to show you and explain to you what I'm doing with my money. It's not financial advice, obviously, but this is my strategy. First is Bitcoin. I believe this is the ultimate hedge against money printing. They could print dollars forever, but Bitcoin is capped at 21 million, and people are going to fight for that supply. I don't care if it goes up or down or sideways. I will just keep buying. Next is Iron, I-R-E-N. They're Bitcoin miners, but they are positioned for the AI infrastructure boom. When Bitcoin pumps, these stocks also pump. When AI pumps, it also pumps. So this is like a double multiplier for Bitcoin and AI. The next is disruptive technology that is going to replace the old system. Tesla, it's not just cars, it's AI, energy storage, robotics. Amazon is becoming the infrastructure for literally everything. And SoFi is going after the big banks with no big physical locations. Next is real assets they can't print, like TPL, Texas Pacific Land. It's one of my favorite. They own the land under Texas. Oil companies lease it out. Solar farms. Whoever needs lands pays them money. And the next is the AI revolution, like AMD, Micron Technology. These companies need AI compute power. This trend is just starting. When I think markets are getting hot, I'll start putting more money into bonds and collecting a nice yield on my money while I wait for the next drawdown in the market. Now here's the thing, I'm always trading around these positions. I'm either writing covered calls, or I'm selling shares directly, or I'm buying leaps with options. There's a lot of things I do, and there's a lot to learn in this, and I don't recommend you just jump in without actually learning the basics first. The key is knowing when to hold, when to buy, and when to fold. More printing equals higher asset inflation. AI equals certain winners and certain losers. Energy transition equals new opportunities. Every Fed announcement, every bailout, every emergency, it is predictable. Once you see the pattern, you can trade it. The game is rigged, yes, but once you know the rules, you can be a player in the game. And join our Discord. It's completely free. You can join through WAP. It's free as long as it's manageable. The minute it becomes a hassle for me, I'm putting on like a $20 fee or something to join it. But I want to build a community where we can work together to spot opportunities so we can beat their system together. So here's what it comes down to. When those printers fire up, and they will, are you going to profit from it, or are you going to be another victim? I'm not telling you this because I'm special. I'm telling you because I understood the game. Everything clicked. And once you see it, you got two choices. You can stay asleep, stay broke, keep posting angry tweets about how unfair everything is, or you can wake up, see the game for what it is, and start taking what is yours.